Hi everyone, today's topic is RESP accounts. This channel is all about financial education so we can be more confident, independent, and successful with our money. If that sounds like something that you're interested in, hit the subscribe button and let's get started on today's topic. So what exactly is an RESP account and how do they work? Today we're going to look at deposits, some special grants that you can get from the government, and stay tuned till the end where we're going to look at some important rules that you need to be aware of. An RESP account is an investment account specifically set up to help us save for post-secondary school. One of the great things about the RESP account is the government actually matches a portion of what you put into it. In order to set up the account, you and your child must have a social insurance number. Once you have that, you can set up the account online or at your local bank, for example. Then the government will start matching your deposits every year up to a certain percentage. And they do this by issuing grants into the account. That grant is referred to as a Canada Education Savings Grant, or CESG. Now, there are some important conditions to be aware of, so let's take a closer look. Once you start depositing into the account, the government will match your RESP deposit by 20%, up to a maximum of $500 in grants every year. For the course of the entire RESP, the government will allow $7,200 in grants per beneficiary. So if we take a closer look at how that 20% grant works, if you were to deposit $2,500, you're going to get the maximum grant of $500. So that means you can deposit more than that. As an example, if you deposit $3,000, you're still only going to get $500. And if you deposit below $2,500, that's absolutely okay. They'll still match your deposit up to 20%. On $1,000, that's $200 in grants. But what happens if you don't set up an RESP account right away or you forget to make a deposit one year? There's no need to worry because CESGs are always being carried forward from the moment your child is born. However, there is a catch. You can only catch up 1 year at a time. That means that if you ever deposit $5,000 or more, you're only going to get $1,000 in grants. Now, this concept can be very confusing, so if you have questions, just comment below and I will get back to you. So what are some of the other benefits aside from the grants? Well, like an RSP account, the money's allowed to grow on a tax-deferred basis. But you don't, however, get a tax deduction with any deposit that goes into the RESP account. But when you finally start withdrawing for your child for educational reasons, any income in grants will be taxed in the hands of your child, not you. Because of that, they'll probably pay minimal, if any, tax on that income. On top of all this, you might actually be eligible for the Canada Learning Bond. So take a look in the description. I'll include a link to a video so you can learn more about that. Most people are actually surprised to find out that there's more than one type of RESP account. With a family plan, this allows for multiple beneficiaries on the account, and in my opinion, the only account that parents should be opening. With multiple beneficiaries, it means that if one of your kids decides to not pursue post-secondary education, the other children on the account can use their grants and the income earned inside of the account to help pay for their education. The only catch is you must be related by blood. So as an example, people that can open this account would be siblings of the children, the parents or guardians of the children, or grandparents. The other type of RESP account is the individual plan. Now, this plan only allows for one beneficiary, but you don't have to be related by blood to open the account. So as an example, if you're a friend of the family or maybe an aunt or uncle, this would be the type of RESP account that you could open. The only catch is there's only one beneficiary. So if the child decides to not pursue post-secondary education, then all of the grants must be returned to the government. Now, in some cases or special circumstances where transfers to other accounts could take place, but that's not always the case. So let's take a look at some quick rules that you need to be aware of. First of all, you can deposit up to $50,000. That's the maximum. That doesn't include grants going into the account or any income you're making from your deposits. Second, any contribution over that $50,000 maximum is going to cost you 1% per month every month until you eventually withdraw it. The third rule is that you can continue to deposit into the account up to 31 years after it was initially opened. Fourth, the account can continue to remain open for 36 years after you initially opened it. After that, the account must be closed. And finally, once you turn 17 as a beneficiary, that's the last year that the government is going to match any deposits into the account. That's why it's so important to set up the account as soon as possible and start making deposits right away to maximize those grants. Want to know a trick? Make sure you're setting up family plans. That way, if you have any children that are below the age of 17 and you're still making deposits, Make them under those children and make sure you get grants for every dollar that goes into the account. On top of this, there's actually certain conditions that as a subscriber you need to meet in order to make sure your kids get grants when they're 16 and 17. I'll include more information below explaining that in detail for you. So what happens if our child decides not to pursue post-secondary education? Well, in that case, unless it's a family plan, all of the grants must be returned to the government. The good news is, though, any of your contributions will be withdrawn tax-free. But if you made money on your contributions or the grants, then that will be added to your taxable income, and on top of that, the government will charge you a penalty tax of 20% on that income. Now, in some special cases, you can transfer an RESP account to an account that has another sibling on it. But if that fails, the good news is, if you have room, you can transfer it to your RSP account or an RDSP account. This wraps up our video on RESP accounts. Stay tuned for another video that's going to detail a bit more about contributions and withdrawals. If you have any questions, please let me know by commenting below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with weekly videos. Thank you for watching.